a clean world. So here I'm going to talk about a proverb which is cleanliness is godliness. We might have heard it everywhere, like in school, in college, in public. It's a very common proverb. But the thing here is that cleanliness is relative because if the world is 100% clean, that would mean that none of us would exist. The world would be a perfect sphere. A clean environment usually refers to a healthy environment, and here a healthy environment is disease free and an environment that is suitable to live in comfortably. Now, the main enemy or obstacle to a clean environment is pollution in all its forms. According to the National Geographic Society, there are three main types of pollution in the world, which is air pollution, water pollution, and land pollution. Now, I'm going to talk about air pollution. According to the Health Effects Institute, as of 2017, particulate matter pollution is known as the third important cause of death, in which the rate is the highest in India among every country in the world. There were more than 1.1 million premature deaths due to particulate matter, 56% of which is due to outdoor particulate matter pollution, and the rest 44% is due to indoor particulate matter pollution. Indian cities, on an average, they exceed the WHO threshold for clean air by an average of 500%. Now, why is this happening? Due to the consistent population growth in India, there is an excessive strain on energy consumption for daily basic needs, which leads to the decrease in air quality in megacities. Coming to water pollution, 80% of India's water is severely polluted, mainly because people dump raw sewage, silt, and garbage into rivers and lakes. Each year, greater than 1.5 million Indian children die from diarrhea. And the prediction is that by 2030, 40% of the population will not have access to clean water from anywhere. Worldwide, waterborne diseases cause more deaths than AIDS, tuberculosis, and measles combined in children under 5 years old. Water pollution in India not only harms people's health and food security, they also decrease India's GDP and economic stagnation. The GDP growth reduces by one third when pollution of water bodies exceeds the appropriate limit, and agricultural revenues lower by 9% in districts closer to industrial territories. The degradation of environment causes a loss of $80 billion annually, and added to this, the healthcare cost due to the effect of waterborne diseases comes to a cost of $9 billion annually. Coming to land pollution and soil pollution. Soil pollution is mainly caused due to soil erosion, use of chemical fertilizers and biocides, and polluted liquids and solids from industry and urban areas. Now, coming to biocides, the use of biocides increased significantly with the commencement of the Green Revolution in 1966 to 1967. And it is estimated that India will require 45 to 50 million tons of chemical fertilizers as against the present consumption of 17 million tons, which is a huge increase. And this is due to the huge food demand with the increasing population. The other causative agent of soil pollution and land pollution is municipal solid waste. And here, municipal solid waste is divided into two parts. There is garbage and there is rubbish. Garbage is the waste associated with preparation and consumption of food, while the rest of the waste produced comes under rubbish. Now, here, what can be done is that garbage is compostable completely. It can be used to create organic fertilizers. But the government hasn't prepared enough initiatives to promote waste management in its community and neighborhood level, and it is being implemented publicly by the communities and privately by various organizations and mostly in urban areas. The other cause of land pollution is deforestation. Deforestation leads to an imbalance in ecological diversity, and all the while it leads to the increase in soil erosion and with that soil pollution. Now, these are the various problems concerning pollution and cleanliness we have in India. But what has the government done to combat it? So, after the participation in the Stockholm Conference for Human Environment in 1972, India passed three laws to comply with the agendas of the conference, which are Water Prevention and Control of Pollution Act, Air Prevention and Control of Pollution Act, and the Environment Protection Act. There is no Land Pollution Act officially because it comes under a small part of the Environment Protection Act and a very small part of the Swachh Bharat Abhiyan, which shows how serious land pollution is taken by the government and the organizations involved in the passage of such acts. 2021 marks 40 years since the passing of India's Air Act. But the thing is, it hasn't been amended since its passing. Granted, it provided very good regulations and standards to control automobile and industrial air pollution, but is it adequate is the question. Has air pollution changed to a modern setup with the incoming increase in smog? That is a very relevant question which should be taken into consideration, due to which in early 2021 there was a news that there is a plan to replace the existing three main environmental legislations with a consolidated Environmental Management Act. Will this be enough? Well, we will come to know about it when it gets passed. Coming to the Water Pollution Act, it has been amended twice since its conception in 1981. But still, here the same question arises here. Is it still relevant? Has water pollution actually decreased in the country? It hasn't. But there are studies stating that the rate of increase in water pollution has neither decreased or increased, which might be considered a win. But coming to last week, there was an outflow of news on the lack of transparency in pollution boards in India. Which begs the question, what is happening to environmental regulations? Is it being properly followed? Is it legally strong? And are the punishments and regulations up to mark? This is a major concern when it comes to pollution, because pollution is a long lasting effect and it acts on the health of the people and the environment. It should be taken seriously, and we can only hope that the government takes appropriate measures to improve this transparency, which is in the process, and let us know that they are taking the crisis of pollution, cleanliness, and climate change properly. Now, coming back to my initial point, which said that cleanliness is relative, but it doesn't become so while concerning the health of the people and the environment they live in. Everybody deserves to have a clean life and live in a clean world. But who should start? Who should put the smallest step towards the equality everybody deserves when it comes to living conditions and health and hygiene? It is, as usual, us. We who can do the simple act of becoming eco-friendly and adapting a go green methodology in life. Now, this can go a long way in changing somebody else's way of life and hence contribute to the larger cause of promoting health for all.